I'm Kerry Bowers, and I approve this message.
Greetings, and thank you for joining me for this presentation. As many of you viewing this video are aware, I am a former 2016 Republican presidential candidate. My candidacy for the office, one I prefer to call the office of the executive servant of the people, was an undertaking inspired by no less than that which inspired the founders of this great nation. Men and women who were willing to risk all they held dear in order to create a government that would secure to themselves and their posterity our Creator-endowed blessings of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. While the nation's founders achieved their objective with the ratification of our beloved Constitution and as amended to correct the compromising injustices it contained in contradiction to our Declaration of Independence, I sought in my campaign and will continue to seek the full restoration of those same blessings surrendered under duress or seized from the people through incessant political compromises that are nothing short of compromises to our Constitution and the ideals upon which this nation was founded. Though the presidential campaign I undertook did not achieve what would be considered the obvious outcome to be called a success, it was nonetheless successful, and from many different perspectives. It was successful in that after 3 years of researching and analyzing the major issues contributing to the erosion of our promised blessings and then documenting my findings and recommendations, I provided, and for the people's free examination, the most detailed platform ever presented by a presidential candidate. And it was the only platform with promising alternatives, those that would eliminate and/or reform the compromises to our Constitution and the inefficient programs of the national government that today serve more to erode our blessings than to better secure them as they should in every case. My campaign was a success too, from the standpoint that I offered the electorate a new dimension in campaigning, one that could be adopted as a personal standard for an effective examination of all the candidates. The standard I proposed required the candidates to present, and in writing, as did I, their specific objectives for the nation, the strategies to be used in pursuit of their objectives, goals by which the people could measure the nation's progress towards objective achievement, and, very importantly, a timeline for the implementation of each new policy or program recommended by the candidate. It was also a great measure of success when the message I had been so inexplicably inspired to prepare was met with overwhelming approval by the people to whom it was presented. I saw that approval for myself in the speaking opportunities in which I engaged in venues across the United States. I saw it in the contacts arising from my campaign website, and I saw it through the various social media I used to extend the reach of my message as far as possible. And because of that tremendous response, and the hope I saw reflected in the eyes or read in the words of those with whom I shared my message, I am bound, and by whatever opportunities I am presented, to continue sharing what I believe to be the most comprehensive, viable, and constitutionally merited message of national restoration yet to be delivered by a candidate for any federal office. I believe, and with great enthusiasm, that next opportunity has now presented itself within my very own congressional district. A district I know is ready to embark upon a new direction, one that will put the diminishing light from the beacon of freedom far too long to our stern back dead ahead on our bow. In demonstration of that belief and my unwavering confidence in the people of Nevada to lead where others will not, I submit in nomination my name as a Republican candidate for Nevada's 3rd Congressional District and present my campaign platform, one appropriately themed, Restore America's Blessings for the People's Examination. To facilitate your review of my qualifications and platform proposals, I have designed and implemented a website at kerrybowers.com. There, you can examine my findings and recommendations for addressing the major issues impacting our nation today, the same that impacts our district and our state. You will find in your examination that I have left most of my descriptions of the issues and how I would address them intact from my former presidential campaign, adding them to the website under a section labeled Issue Archives. I chose this means for numerous reasons, two of the more important being the preservation of message fidelity and what each message may contribute to the reflection of a candidate well prepared for leadership in Congress by first having prepared himself for leadership as the executive servant of the American people. You will also find under the website tab, Proposed Legislation, that I have gone so far as to share with you some of the specific legislation I would either introduce as the sponsor or actively promote as a co-sponsor. Any co-sponsorship of legislation assumes the same is reintroduced from the preceding Congress by the same representative, else I will introduce the same as the sponsor. To begin your examination of what can be the most proactive platform to arrive in Washington, D.C. in 2017, one that will make the 3rd Congressional District of Nevada the standout district for innovative and constructive solutions, I encourage you to view the video accessible from the homepage of my website titled 10 Steps to Restore America's Blessings. The message in the video is one that presents the foundation for the restorative measures I propose and what we should expect from every federal candidate. A vision, one inarguably in parallel to the founders, and one followed up with a detailed course that leaves no doubt in the people's minds as to the direction their representative will pursue on their behalf. In other words, a presentation of all the means by which we shall achieve the desired ends, those being the restoration of America's eroded blessings. Very briefly, the 10 steps I propose are: restore government's federal character, restore state sovereignty, restore the sanctity of the Bill of Rights, restore fiscal responsibility and accountability, restore the economy, restore individual financial responsibility, restore our healthcare industry, restore immigration law enforcement, restore truth and integrity in government, and last, restore the people's faith and confidence in government. Do all these, and the blessings once secured by our Constitution will again be restored. Before I close, I want to briefly state my political position so that there is, hopefully, no question as to where I will likely stand on any issue. First, and most importantly, I believe that in a constitutional form of government, there can be no left, right, center, moderate, liberal, or conservative, to name some of the descriptors applied to politics in this nation today. There can only be two descriptors, either constitutional or unconstitutional. With respect to the actions of our federal government, it can only be constitutional when it inarguably lies within the context of our Constitution, a context corrected for compromising injustices by the 13th, 15th, and 19th Amendments, or within the ideals expressed by those who framed our nation as found in sources originating from the period of ratification. If there is any question as to the constitutionality of an issue, then I will defer to the side that best negates any potential compromise to our Constitution. As I move forward in this campaign, I will address and ask that others address my political character as that of a preserver of the Constitution, rather than one who makes conservative application of it. This is especially important to me given the breadth of political ideologies expressed by those today who call themselves conservatives, but too often favor that which is contrary to the Constitution and the ideals expressed by our nation's founders. Let then the two most important characteristics of my campaign be confined to these descriptors: that of preservationist with respect to my political character, and Christian with respect to my born-again faith. The former defined by our Constitution, the latter defined by the Holy Bible. With those two defining me, then I pray there never be any question as to what direction I will take on any issue, and do so even as may be necessary to defend those who have views in part or whole contrary to both. Again, I encourage you to visit my website where you may thoroughly examine, in both word and video, my thoughts about the errant course upon which our nation has been embarked and the new course I have charted that absolutely will restore to our district, our state, and our nation the endowed blessings of our Creator. Together, I am absolutely convinced we will do great things, things that not only restore our promised blessings and secure the same for our children, but restore a new and greater sense of pride in ourselves for achieving what many think no longer can be achieved in America. I thank you for your kind attention to this message, and I look forward to meeting you in the coming days. Until then, God bless you, your family, and our nation.